What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Joey Maylari. So in this episode, I'm going to preview the Frozen Four tournament, which puck drop for that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. So I'll preview the bracket, give you a breakdown of which team is in which region, and I'll also break down my predictions for each regional. But before doing so, I'm going to talk about AIC hockey. They had a tough loss in the Atlantic Hockey Conference Finals. They had a great finish to the season, though. They have a lot to be proud of towards the end of the year. And then I'll also talk about BC taking the Hockey East. I'll talk about Adam Gaudette, who's been lighting it up in the AHL, former Northeastern Husky, has been doing great in the AHL this season. And then I'll preview the Frozen Four tournaments. So let's start off with AIC. Tough loss in the Atlantic Hockey Finals. Would have been an automatic bid had they won that game. But they had to go up against a very good RIT team. RIT's been great this year. AIC lost that game 5-2. Credit to Jordan Byro, though. He had a great game, 2 goals in that one. Even had the first goal of the game to give AIC a 1-0 lead. That was all AIC led for, was just that first goal. But I am proud of that late season push. They finished the season 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. Even made it to Atlantic Hockey Finals for the 4th time in the last 5 tournaments, which is very impressive. They were 5th in the conference in the regular season, but they still made a run thanks to guys like Jordan Byro and John Lundy. Also credit to Brian Kramer as well. He had quite a season, one of the best defensemen in the Atlantic Hockey Conference. Really developed his offensive game the last 2 seasons. This year had 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points, and had a +10 plus-minus differential. Lundy had a very good season as well. Just a sophomore. Only had 1 point as a freshman last year. This year had 14 goals, 8 assists, 22 points. Hopefully he will stay in Springfield. He's going to be a key piece for them to develop in the future. If you look at AIC's season, they started the season 0-4. But in the next 9 games, after that 0-4 start, they were 8-1. That's been the story for AIC the last few seasons. Starting the year cold, going on a losing streak, and then finding a way to turn things around mid-season, getting hot, and then making it to the Atlantic Hockey Conference Finals. This year would have been great to win it, considering RIT was a great team, and also if you consider AIC was 5th in the conference in the regular season, so nobody really gave them a chance to go all the way to the finals. Just a tough break for them in the finals, going up against RIT. They were up in that game, like I said, 1-0, but at the end of the day, I am proud of their late season push. Always rooting for the Yellow Jackets. Always next year as well. When you have a guy like Eric Lang as head coach, anything is possible. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. So now I'm going to move on to talk about BC, who won the Hockey East tournament for the first time since 2012. That is their 12th overall title in the Hockey East tournament. Player of the tournament was Will Smith. He had 4 goals, an assist, and 5 points total in that championship game. This BC team is just so different than in years past. They have a plethora of guys that can beat you, which it reminds me of the BC team that won back in 2012. They just have so many guys that can score. They're so deep. All 4 lines have potential of scoring. And if you look at all these games of BC in the Hockey East tournament, none of these games are close. They're playing their best hockey at the right time. Their only close game was probably that quarterfinal game against UConn, a 5-4 win over the Huskies in that one. BC did give up 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the third period, a near collapse. I think that game actually helped BC at the end of the day because they haven't really had too many close games this season. And I felt like grinding out a game where they have to play a close one at the end and find a way to win, is really important for this team because in the Frozen Four tournament, there's going to be a lot of close games. They're not just going to be up 5-1 in every single game they play in. So it's good they had this close game against UConn. But besides that, every other game is a blowout. In the semifinal, they took down UMass 8-1. Gaudette and Perreault, Cutter Gaudette and Gabe Perreault, 2 former first-round picks, had 2 goals apiece. BC outscored them 7-0 in the last 2 periods. 28 saves for Jacob Fowler in that one. Made a few tough plays look very easy. He has had a great season as a freshman. And then in the final game, BC beat BU 6-2. Another blowout. Will Smith had 2 goals in the first period, both of them being 3 minutes apart and both being power play goals. BC is just so dangerous. Each and every line can score. 4 of BC's 6 goals in this game were on the power play, a unit that has dominated all year long. They make you pay when you make a mistake. That is the 12th win in a row for BC heading into the tournament. They will now face Michigan Tech in Providence in the first round of the Frozen Four tournament. I'll get to that game in just a minute. One other thing I want to talk about before previewing the Frozen Four tournament is Adam Gaudette, who's been lighting it up in the AHL for the Springfield Thunderbirds. That is the AHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues. Gaudette on the season, 37 goals, 20 assists, 57 points, a +13 plus-minus rating in 57 games for Springfield. His last 10 games he's played in, 7 goals, 3 assists, and 10 points. 37 goals is actually tied for the most in the AHL right now. Also has 57 points, which is tied for second most in the AHL. 12 goals in the last 15 games for Gaudette. 5 assists as well for a total of 17 points over the last 15 games he's played in. He's only played in 2 NHL games this season. The Blues are 38-30-4, so they are having a good season. So it's really tough for Gaudette to make it up to the NHL level. But if they were to be struggling more, if a guy were to get hurt at some point, I think Gaudette will get more of a chance. But I'm still shocked he hasn't been called up considering how great he's been this year in the AHL. I think coming back home to Massachusetts, obviously a Braintree kid, went to Northeastern, being a local kid and being able to play in Massachusetts, Probably special for him considering he could probably have family come to every single game, which is great. So I'm really rooting for him to make it up to the NHL at some point. The only Northeastern Husky to ever win the Hobey Baker Award, was one of the best college hockey players I've ever seen in my life, and I'm hoping he makes it back up to the NHL this season. He definitely deserves it, and obviously we see him putting up huge numbers there in Springfield. So now I'm going to preview the Frozen Four tournament, which starts tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'll preview the Providence Regional to start off. So we have BC as the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. They are 17-1 in their last 18 games. They are the number 1 seed in this regional. Their only loss in that stretch of 18 games was in the semifinal of the Beanpot to BU. This is the first time BC has made the NCAA tournament since 2021. BC was the number 1 overall seed back in 2005 and 2012 when the Eagles won their 5th and most recent national championship. Back in 2012 was the most recent time they were the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. Their special teams are what makes them so dynamic. Second best power play unit in the country at 29%. And then you also added the best penalty kill in the country at 89.6%. The only team to be in the top 10 of both the power play and penalty kill is BC in the country. Very impressive season on the special teams for the Eagles. BC's power play unit is very dynamic considering they have 4 first-round picks on that line and also a 4th-round pick in Eamon Powell. Just really hard to stop those guys considering the speed and the chemistry they play with. They've only allowed 1 shorthanded goal all season long. So when they are on the power play, they don't really give up any turnovers that can lead to a goal, which is great. That's tied for the 4th best in the NCAA with Cornell, Western Michigan, and North Dakota. Will Smith is a guy to keep your eye on. Most points in college hockey with 67 on the year, 23 goals, 44 assists, and also 67 points. Adam Gaudette has been great all season long as well, 35 goals. He's actually the first 35-goal scorer in college hockey since 2016. Has 197 shots in the season, 28 more than any other player in the country. The formula for BC is just let him light up the shots on net whenever he is on the ice. Then you got Ryan Leonard, a plus 34 plus minus, which is second best in college hockey. I think he's the best player on BC. I know it's hard to say that considering BC does have 3 players in the top 5 scorers in college hockey. In Perreault, Gaudette, and Smith are those 3 guys. Not even Ryan Leonard. Ryan Leonard isn't even top 5 right now in points in college hockey, but he is top 10. Will Smith is at number 1, Gaudette is at number 2, and then Gabe Perreault is at 5 in scoring in college hockey. 18 goals, 39 assists, and 57 points on the year for Perreault. It's tough to say Leonard's the best player on the team, but when I watch him play, I do think he's going to translate the best to the NHL right away. The youngest team in college hockey is the BC Eagles, with an average age of 20.9 years old, so under 21 years old. They're going to lose a lot of talent into the NHL after the season ends, including graduate defenseman Jacob Bankston. He will be signing a professional contract. And then you also have former top 5 pick Adam Gaudette and Ryan Leonard, who will also be going to the pros, in my opinion, as well. Jacob Fowler has been great, too. He's a freshman. I don't think he's going to jump to the NHL right away. It's probably best for him to take a 2nd or 3rd year at the very least in college hockey. Fowler has been great, though. .925 save percentage, 5th best in college hockey. 2.19 goals against, which is also 10th best in college hockey. And he also has 29 wins on the year, the most for a goalie in college hockey. BC on the season is 2nd in goals per game in the nation with 4.51 goals per game, and 4th best in goals against with 2.22 per game. So very impressive for BC on the year. They're the number 1 seed here in the Providence Regional, the number 1 seed overall in the tournament as well. In the Providence Regional, the number 2 overall seed is the number 8 team in the country, Wisconsin. They are number 8 in the pairwise rankings. They have an 87% PK on the year, which is 3rd best in the country. They have a big team that can hit very well. Their average height is 6'1", 2nd tallest team in the country. So watch them play physical in this one versus Quinnipiac. The goalie for Wisconsin is Kyle McClellan, 2nd best goals against in the nation with 1.92 per game. Also, if you look at a save percentage, a .931 save percentage is the best in the country. They're giving up just about 2 goals per game, which is 3rd best in the NCAA. They started the year very hot, winning 9 of the first 10 games, 19-4 in their first 23 games, but in the last 10 games, they're coming into this tournament rather cold with a 5-5 record in the last 10 games played. As for Quinnipiac, they're the number 9 team in the pairwise rankings. They're reigning national champions. They're 11-4 in the last 15 games. So coming into this tournament very hot at 11-4 over the last 15 matches. Freshman forward Mason Marcellus has the best plus-minus in the country with a plus 35 plus-minus differential. Very impressive. As I said, Ryan Leonard was 2nd best in the country plus-minus at plus 34. Marcellus is number 1 at plus 35. Also a freshman forward as well. 14 goals, 22 assists, 36 points on the year for Marcellus. Quinnipiac has a 55% face-off win percentage as a team, which is 3rd best in the country. Very important in the tournament. It is to win face-offs. They've been great with that all season long. They've only given up 72 goals all season long, which is 2nd best in the country. And then if you look at their goals against average per game, 1.9 goals against, which is number 1 in the country. Former BU goalie Vinny Duplessis is the goalie for the Bobcats, a .918 save percentage with a 1.93 goals against on the year. which is third best in the country. For the Bobcats, their top goal scorer is Colin Graff, 22 goals on the season, 12th best in college hockey. Also added in 26 assists and 48 points, 2 years in a row for Graff with 20-plus goals in the regular season. As for Quinnipiac as a team, they're averaging 4.1 goals per game, which is tied for fourth best in the country with BU. So obviously they can score a lot. They're a dangerous team in this regional. Next up, the fourth seed, Michigan Tech, who is the 16th overall seed in the tournament. They're 32nd in their pairwise rankings heading into the tournament. This is the third year in a row that they made the NCAA tourney, which is very impressive. They're very good at being disciplined, just 295 penalty minutes on the year, 6th least in college hockey. They're also giving up just 2.5 goals per game, 10th best in college hockey. Their goalie, Blake Pietila, has been great on the year, a fifth-year senior goalie, 2.28 goals against average. He was really good in the 2 seasons prior to last year, in the 2020-2021 season, and then also in the 2021-2022 season. He had a 1.81 goals against average and a 1.91 goals against average. He has the ability to take over a game if he gets hot. 6 of his last 8 games, he's given up 1 goal or less heading into the tournament. I know the competition isn't the Hockey East with what he's playing against in the regular season, but still very impressive stretch there for Pietila. The Michigan Tech Huskies have won 7 of their last 8 games heading into this one versus BC, including winning the CCHA tournament. They've won 5 games in a row, 8 of their last 10, and a guy to watch out for on their team is freshman forward Isaac Gordon, 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points on the year. So obviously a lot of freshmen in this region here that are putting up big numbers, like Ryan Leonard, like Isaac Gordon, like Mason Marcellus. A lot of freshman talent here in this regional. Here are my predictions for the Providence Regional. We got BC over Michigan Tech. I think it's going to be a close game. BC winning that one 3-2. Michigan Tech has played in a lot of close games this season. They've played in 11 overtime matches this year. They're 3-2-6 in those games, but they do keep a lot of games close. BC is 11-7-4 all-time versus Michigan Tech, so obviously BC does have the advantage there, but this season, BC is obviously the best team in the country, but obviously anything can happen once you get into a tournament. Like we've seen in March Madness, anybody can win any given game. I think BC wins a close one here, 3-2 over Michigan Tech. Then we have Quinnipiac versus Wisconsin. I like Quinnipiac to win that one 5-3, leaving it to be BC versus Quinnipiac in the Providence Regional Final. I think BC would win that game 4-2, so I'm going to go with BC going to the Frozen Four. Next up, we have the Sioux Falls Regional. This is in South Dakota. BU is the number 2 team in the country in the pairwise rankings. They're the number 1 overall seed here in the Sioux Falls Regional. One thing that BU's been doing very well is getting hot at the right time. We saw them do it last year and then obviously this year as well. 10-2-1 in the last 13 games. Only 1 loss over that 13-game stretch in regulation, and that was to BC in the Hockey East Championship. Freshman phenom Max Celebrini has been great. 31 goals, 28 assists, 59 points. Also has 12 power play goals on the year. He is the projected first overall pick in the NHL draft for a reason. This kid is so dynamic and fun to watch. Another guy in BU that's been great is Lane Hudson. For the 2nd year in a row, he's been the best defenseman in the Hockey East. He's only a sophomore, 13 goals, 33 assists, 46 points on the year. His brother Quinn has 17 goals. They are 2nd and 3rd on the team in goals, which is very impressive. BU on the year, 4.1 goals per game, 4th best in the country. 2.7 goals allowed per game, which is 7th best in the country. One thing BU has to tighten up is the penalties. We saw them give BC a lot of chances on the power play in that game in the final. In the Hockey East tournament, BC had 4 power play goals in that one. And Dylan Peterson is a guy that's been very good for them the last few years, but he's been reckless with penalties this season. 71 minutes in the box, 6th most in all of college hockey. Next up, we have the number 2 overall seed in this regional, the number 7 team in the pairwise rankings, and that is Minnesota. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10 games played. Just 6.7 penalty minutes per game for the Gophers. The best in the NCAA. They're very well disciplined, as you can tell from that number there. Their goalie is a veteran, a graduate goalie, Justin Close, who has a .923 save percentage on the season, tied for the 7th best in all of college hockey. He was a lot better in his previous 2 seasons. This year, he has a 2.3 goals against average, but in 2022, a 2.02 goals against average, and then even better in 2021, a 1.95 goals against average. So he's obviously capable of getting hot at the right time. He's given up 2 goals or less in 10 of the last 12 games heading into this one. He's getting hot at the right time, which is huge for Minnesota. I feel like a hot goalie can beat anyone in the country, and Justin Close could be that guy that could shut down a couple teams in this regional. Next up, we have the number 3 seed in the regional, the number 11 team in the pairwise rankings, the Omaha Mavericks, who got really hot over the last month, 11-3-1 since the start of February. They were 4-1-1 in February. A big turning point in their second half was a hot start to the month of February. They were 7-2 in March with 3 wins over North Dakota, 2 of 3 wins against Colorado College as well. Pretty good to go 2-1 against Colorado College, a team that just missed out on the tournament, and then 3-0 versus North Dakota in March. My main worry about them, though, is their power play percentage, just 18%. They need to take advantage of penalties when they get the opportunity. That's something that they've struggled with this season, but in the tournament, you really need to take advantage when you get a power play. Their goalie is Simon Lecozzi, who has had an okay year for Nebraska, a second-year goalie with a 2.68 goals against average, a .912 save percentage. He was very good for Slovakia in the World Juniors, so we'll see what he does here in the tournament. The leading goal scorer for Nebraska is Jack Randall, 13 goals, 12 assists, 25 points. Not really many big goal scorers on this team, so that could be a worry, but they also have gotten hot at the right time, heading into the tournament, like I said, 11-3-1. Their graduate forward, Jack Randall, like I said, their leading goal scorer with 13 goals. He has 0 points in the last 4 games, but in his previous 5 games before that, he had a point in each, so hopefully he can get hot here in the tournament for Omaha. We will see what happens there. Then we have the 4th seed in this regional, RIT. Rochester's first time in the tournament since 2016. They're the 15th overall seed. They have an 86% penalty kill on the year, which has been great, 4th best in the country, but also have given up the 5th most penalty minutes in the nation as well. And a lot of those penalties have come in conference play against weaker opponents than they'll play in this tournament, so that's definitely a worry for them, especially against a very good BU team who makes you pay when you give them a chance. RIT is a veteran team, though. The oldest team in college hockey, 23.2 years old is the average age of the team, the oldest in the nation. Their goalie is Tommy Scarfoni, the 3rd best save percentage in the country with a .928 save percentage. He has to get hot at the right time if they want to beat BU. So here are my predictions here for the Sioux Falls Regional. I got BU over RIT in a 4-1 game. I got an upset, Omaha over Minnesota 5-3. And then I also have another upset in the final. I have Omaha over BU 3-2. I know that would be crazy, but Omaha is catching their stride at the right time. They've made the Frozen Four just once in their history back in 2015. I think they could do it again this year. Give me Omaha over BU in the final. Now, next up is the Springfield, Massachusetts Regional. The number 1 overall seed in this regional is Denver, the number 3 overall seed in the tournament. They won the Frozen Four tournament back in 2022, so they are capable of winning, and they have a lot of guys that were on that team still on their current roster. They are 11-2-1 in their last 14 games since the start of February, so they're getting hot at the right time, just like Omaha and BC. All of these teams playing their best hockey heading into the tournament. That's definitely something I weigh heavily. Denver is number 1 in goals per game in the country with 4.9 goals per game. 194 goals is nearly 30 more than any other team in the nation. They are a very young team, though. The average player on their team is 21 years old, the 2nd youngest team in the country. Jack Devine, one of the best goal scorers in college hockey, is 3rd in goals in the nation with 27. Also added in 28 assists and 55 points on the year. They have 5 players in college hockey in the top 11 of the plus-minus differential, including freshman defenseman Zeev Buyam, who is a very smart hockey player, plays the game right, has a great hockey IQ, and he's only a freshman. He has been great this season, 11 goals, 37 assists, 48 points. He has 2 goals, 2 assists, and 4 points in the last 2 games played. Denver is coming into the tournament hot. They did just win the NCHC, which is obviously huge. They have a lot of experience. This is their 14th time making the tournament in the last 15 years, an absolute dynasty in college hockey, and obviously going to be a tough out for whoever tries to go up against them in the tournament. With the number 2 overall seed in this regional, the number 5 overall team in the tournament, the UMaine Black Bears, this is their first trip to the tournament since 2012. 2.5 goals allowed per game, which is 10th best in the country. Victor Osman, 2.79 goals against on the year, was benched in the last month, though, for freshman goalie Albin Boya, who has been very good for Maine. 2.01 goals against average, 4th best in the NCAA in 18 games played. Also has a .916 save percentage. They definitely gave BU a hard time in the Hockey East semifinal game. They did lose that game 4-1, but it was a lot closer than the score told. They were the better team in 5-on-5 situations. They did just struggle, though, in the special teams. I would say they do have a chance of winning this regional. I do like Denver to come out of this regional, but I think Maine could definitely give them a run for their money. I think Bradley Nadeau, a top 15 scorer in college hockey, 19 goals, 27 assists, 46 points on the year. He's a guy to watch out for in this regional. Definitely a guy that can get hot at the right time. As for Maine, though, they are 5-6 in their last 11 games heading into the tournament. They've won 4 of their last 5, but they are 5-6 in the last 11, which worries me just a little bit. Moving on to the number 3 seed in this regional, we have Cornell. This is their 4th trip to the tournament since 2017. 27 shots per game on the year, 52nd in college hockey. So that is a worry. They don't really get many shots on net. 905 shots on the year, which is 56th in the nation. They do allow only 1.9 goals per game, which is number 1 in college hockey, so they do play very good defense. They're only allowing 22.5 shots per game, the best in college hockey. They control the puck very well, but they don't really light up shots on goal. It's all about quality over quantity for them while playing good and sound defense. They have won 54% of their faceoffs this season, 8th best in college hockey. Their goalie is Ian Shane, 1.7 goals against average, number 1 in the nation. They are very hot heading into the tournament, 15-2-3 in the last 20 games. Definitely a team to watch out for in this region. And then the number 4 overall seed in this region, the 14th overall team in the tournament, the Massachusetts Minutemen from UMass Amherst. Only 30 minutes from campus, so this is going to be a big chance for them to get a lot of fans out to this game. They won the national championship back in 2021, so they obviously have a lot of history and have been very competitive over the last few years. Despite having a bad year last year, they bounced back very well this season. One thing that does worry me, though, that they've lost 3 of their last 4 games heading into the tournament, including an 8-1 loss to BC in the Hockey East tournament. They're going to need a lot from their goalie, Michael Rabel. He was a second-round pick to the Arizona Coyotes, has a 2.66 goals against average on the season, did give up 8 goals to BC in the Hockey East tournament, so I think he could struggle against Denver. So here are my predictions for this region. We have Denver over UMass and a scrappy 2-1 win in overtime. It will be the 5th time that these teams have matched up since 2019. Denver should have Massimo Rizzo back and healthy. A good setup guy for their offense. They definitely need him back on the ice. I have Denver over UMass and a scrappy 2-1 win. I think it's going to be a very close game. Even though I just said Robel has been struggling this season, giving up goals, I do think this game is going to be scrappy considering how much these teams have matched up over the last few years. It's basically a rivalry at this point. Then we have Maine versus Cornell. I like Maine to win a close game here, 3-2. And then that leaves Denver and Maine in the regional final. And I'm going to go with Denver in a 4-2 win over Maine. I like Maine a lot, but they are struggling 5-6 in the last 11 games. I'm going to go with the team that's been hot as of late, the Denver Pioneers. Next up, we have the Maryland Heights, Missouri Regional. This is the toughest regional. A lot of really good teams here. You have the number 1 overall seed in the regional being Michigan State, the number 4 overall seed in the tournament. This is their first time in the tournament since 2012. Just about 36 shots per game, so that's tied for 3rd best in college hockey. They do take a lot of shots on net. But that does come at the cost of them giving up also 35 shots per game on their own, which is 59th in the nation. So they do give up a lot of shots on net, even though they get a lot of offensive opportunities. They do give up a lot of shots on net as well, so that is a worry here in the tournament for me. An issue for them this year has been penalties. They need to be more disciplined. At 13 penalty minutes per game, that is the 8th most in college hockey. They're also struggling in face-off win percentage, 45th in the country with a 49% face-off win percentage. That is another issue. I think they lose to Western Michigan here in the first round. I'm not really too confident in Michigan State. I think North Dakota should have been the number 1 seed here in the regional. I know it all comes down to the pairwise rankings, but I think North Dakota is a better team than Michigan State. Michigan State's goal is Trey Augustine, 2.88 goals against average with a .918 save percentage. He's given up 94 goals on the season, the 8th most in college hockey. We'll see what he does in the tournament, but he has been struggling this season. He is young, though, so he does have a lot of time to develop. He was a second-round pick last summer to Detroit. We'll see what he does here in the tournament. Next up, we have the number 2 overall seed in this region, the number 6 overall team in the tournament, and that is North Dakota. Sophomore forward Jackson Blake is a guy to watch out for. Second most points in college hockey with 59 on the year, 21 goals, 38 assists, 59 points. He's a guy to watch out for. He can take over a game at any moment. They have 3 losses to Omaha, though, in their last 5 games. That is a slight worry to me. They aren't really playing great hockey heading into the tournament, but I think they are better than that. They have beaten Western Michigan 2 of 2 times this year, a team that has been very good on the year, just inconsistent, but they are a good team, Western Michigan. As for North Dakota, they're just 4-5 in their last 9 games. That is a worry for me, but I do think they can be better here in the tournament. Their goalie is Ludwig Persson, a transfer goalie from Miami, Ohio. He's a senior now. A career best season, though, 2.47 goals against with a .906 save percentage. One thing that they do very well is the power play, 9th best in the country with a 26% power play. 82% penalty kill is 22nd in the nation. Not bad, but it's not great. And they have a 51% face-off win percentage, which is 28th in college hockey. They are a great offensive team, though, 3.8 goals per game, which is 8th best in the nation. A very disciplined team as well, just 7.7 penalty minutes per game, 7th best in the country as well. They allow just 26 shots per game, 11th best in the NCAA, play good defense, and a very well-disciplined team. A winning formula in the tournament is playing good defense, being disciplined, and being able to get shots on net. They do all of those things well. So I do think they have what it takes to make a deep run here in the tourney. Next up, we have the number 3 overall seed in this region, the number 10 overall seed in the tournament, and that is the Michigan Wolverines, a 35% power play percentage on the year, which is number 1 in the country by far. A very good team on the power play, so you have to make sure to limit mistakes against them. That's something North Dakota has to do well, is limit mistakes versus Michigan, which North Dakota has been very well at being disciplined this season. Michigan's goal is Jake Barcheski, who has allowed 95 goals this season, 7th most in college hockey. He's allowed 18 goals over his last 5 games. That is a worry to me. I think he's going to struggle here in the tournament, especially against a very good offensive team like North Dakota. The top goal scorer for Michigan is Gavin Brindley, a sophomore forward with 24 goals, 5th best in the nation. Michigan as a team averages 4.2 goals per game, which is 3rd best in the country, so they do play a lot of good offense, but they are giving up a lot of goals. Barczewski has to be good in this region if they want to make a run. They are a very young team as well. 21.8 years old is their average age, the 11th youngest team in the country. And then the number 4 overall seed in this region, the number 13 overall seed in the tournament, the Western Michigan Broncos. They were very good to start the season, 11-3-1 in their first 15 games. But now heading into the tournament, they're 3-5 in the last 18 games, so they are a very inconsistent team. The main question is, what team's going to show up? The team that was great to start the season or the team that really struggled at the end of the year? Their game plan has been this all year long. Light up shots on goal. They are 2nd best in the country with 36 shots per game. They also average the 9th most goals per game with 3.6. So obviously offense is their specialty. Dylan Wendt is a very special player on their team. The best shot percentage in college hockey with a 27.15% shot percentage. 27% of his shots end up in goals. That's the best among players with double-digit goals in college hockey. 23 goals, 20 assists, 43 points on the year. He's a guy to watch out for. And another guy to look out for is former Northeastern Husky Sam Colangelo, who has had a huge bounce-back year at Western Michigan. He really developed into the player I thought he would be. I thought he'd be that at Northeastern, but he ends up going to Western Michigan and becoming the player that I thought he would be. 154 shots in the year, 6th most in college hockey. 23 goals, 8th most in the nation. Also 42 points, 25th in college hockey. This team is very physical, a team that plays hard, that likes to hit, just very inconsistent. That's my main knock on them, just a very inconsistent team. They also do have a lot of penalty minutes, just about middle of the pack in college hockey, 35th in penalty minutes per game. They have to be careful of making a mistake that leads to a power play goal. They are a veteran team, though. 22.9 years old is the average age on their team, 11th oldest in college hockey. So now for my predictions here in this region, I like an upset win, Western Michigan over Michigan State. I think Michigan State's overrated. I think Western Michigan's going to show up and be the team we saw at the beginning of the season. I think they win this one 5-3 over Michigan State. Then I have North Dakota over Michigan 3-2. And then in the final in this region, I have a very close game. North Dakota over Western Michigan 3-2. But I would not be surprised to see Western Michigan come out of this region. They are a very inconsistent team, but if their best hockey shows up in this tournament, they do have what it takes to make a run to the Frozen Four and even make it tough on a team like BC if they were to make it to the Frozen Four against BC. I think they have what it takes to definitely make it a tough game against BC. We'll see what happens, though. So here's my Frozen Four matchups. We have BC versus North Dakota, and then we have Denver versus Omaha. I think BC versus North Dakota is going to be a tough game. I do think BC wins this game 3-2, but North Dakota is very capable of turning it on and giving them a close game and potentially even winning. I think it's going to be a very tough physical game for BC. They haven't really had too many close games this season, so that is a worry for me, that they haven't had really too many games where they have to face adversity and try to win late in the game. That is a worry, but they do have what it takes, obviously, with all of their offensive firepower. I do think they win this game 3-2. Then I have Denver versus Omaha. I like Denver here to win 4-1. I think Omaha does make a big upset run, though, to the Frozen Four, but I don't think they have what it takes to beat Denver here. So then that'll leave BC versus Denver to be the final matchup here in the Frozen Four tournament. This would be a tough road for BC to win it all. They're going to be more tested in this tournament than they were in the Hockey East all season long. Denver's a very good team. I think this game would be a fun one to watch. One thing that worries me is that in the last 10 tournaments, the number 1 seed has only won the Frozen Four tournament just once. Denver back in 2017 was the only number 1 seed in the last 10 tournaments to win the Frozen Four. So that is a slight worry to me, and playing against a very good Denver team who's been battle-tested all year long would be a tough matchup for BC. I'm not going to make a prediction here because I don't want to pick against BC. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'd be rooting for BC in this game, but at the same time, I don't want to pick BC and jinx them. So I'm not going to make a prediction, but I think it'd be a very tough matchup for both teams and would be a very fun one to watch from a fan's perspective. One thing I wanted to propose is making an NIT tournament for the 12 teams in the pairwise rankings that missed out on the Frozen Four tournament. I do think college hockey has to change the way they determine who makes the tournament. I think it shouldn't be based on pairwise rankings. I think at the end of the day, there should be a committee making these picks rather than it coming down to math where teams are missing out on the Frozen Four tournament because they lost a game back in October. I'm not really too big of a fan of that. And I think Colorado College really got screwed out of making it into this tournament. I know in the pairwise, they lost by .004. But at the end of the day, a team that was 15th in the pairwise rankings versus a team that was 14th in UMass ends up making it over them because they were higher in the pairwise rankings. But if you look at against teams that were in the top 15 in the pairwise rankings, UMass was 1-8-2. Colorado College was 9-9-1 and even gave BC a couple close games. Overall record, UMass 20-13-3, Colorado College 21-13-3. Conference record, They play in a very tough conference, Colorado College, just like the Hockey East. 12-10-2 for UMass, 14-8-2 for Colorado College. I think Colorado College should have made it in, and at the end of the day, I know it comes down to the pairwise rankings and all the math, so losing a game back in October does hurt you at the end of the day. So that's why I feel bad for Colorado College. I think if there was a committee, I think they should make it in automatically over UMass, considering how good they were against top 15 teams in the pairwise rankings. So here's my proposal. Take the top 12 teams that missed out on the NCAA tournament, that are the highest in the pairwise rankings, and throw them into a tournament against each other. So let's say you have 12 teams, the top 4 teams get a bye. So in this case, it would be Colorado College as the 1 seed in this NIT, getting a bye, with Providence getting a bye, St. Cloud State getting a bye, and then UNH getting a bye. Then 5 through 12 would be playing games against each other to advance to the next round. It would be 8 versus 9. So the 8 seed is Penn State. Then a 9 seed would be UConn. Then a 5 versus 12 game would be Northeastern as the 5 seed. AIC as the 12 seed would be a great game to watch. I'm a big fan of both teams. I think that would be a fun game to watch, especially considering 2 Massachusetts teams going at it. Then a 7 versus 10 seed game would happen. 7 would be Notre Dame. The 10 seed would be Alaska. And then 6 versus 11 would be Arizona State versus Ohio State. So all of those games, 5 versus 12, 8 versus 9, 7 versus 10, 6 versus 11, would all happen. And then the winner of those games would go up against the 4 teams that had the byes. So Colorado College, Providence, St. Cloud State, UNH would all have byes. And then after that, the teams that win that single elimination game, 8 versus 9, 5 versus 12, 7 versus 10, 6 versus 11, would advance and play those teams in this bracket. I think that would be a fun way to mix up college hockey and give fans more games to watch. And I know at the end of the day, this probably would never happen since college hockey is not going to bring in as much money as, let's say, March Madness. So having an NIT tournament isn't the same in college hockey as it would be in March Madness, obviously with NCAA basketball. But I do think it would be fun from a fan's perspective to have more games to watch for teams like Northeastern, like AIC, like Colorado College. I think that would be fun to watch. Anyways, that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. As always, I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.